Okay, we're on the air. Glad Rap Channel. Have the honor to be joined with Sam Rapira, a boxer, a promoter. Sam, how's it going?
Yeah, really good. Yeah, really good. Nice to hear from you.
Nice to see you wearing the Team Parker hat.
Yeah, of course. Number one, baby.
So big fight that went down last week. So Sam, tell me what are your thoughts on the Joseph Parker and the Dillian Whyte fight that you saw? Yeah, just tell me your thoughts.
I thought it was a great fight. I thought it was a great fight. I think anybody who tuned in and paid money to watch it would be happy. And I thought it was a good fight for boxing. And unusual that two guys with a lot to lose would take a risky fight like that. And it reasonably, to get the done deal so quick, I thought was pretty cool. And it shows that they're both in it to win it. And I thought it was a great fight. So all round boxing won. Boxing fans won. So I thought it was awesome.
And it was pretty cool to see. I think there were two belts on the line. So there was the WBC silver title and the WBO international heavyweight title at stake. So it was so not only did we see a good matchup, but there were also some titles on the line, which made it all the more exciting.
Yeah, for sure. Like titles. To be honest, titles aren't a huge deal. Like people know who the right guys are, who the guys are winning the big fights are, and if there's titles attached, that's because they've paid sanctions fees and they've made that happen. But like just the fight being a great fight and it being a high risk fight is what made it special. I think.
Yeah, Duco seems to have some good relationships with the sanctioning bodies, right?
Yeah, for sure. They're setting up some good deals and they're making good things happen.
So, what did you think of the way that Dillian approached the fight? He approached it from quite a smart tactic, right? He employed some roughhouse tactics. Like he seemed to know how to get under Parker's skin.
Yeah, for sure. He was obviously not as skilled as Joe, and he worked his strengths, which is he's a bit dirty and like rough housing, and he fought how he it would if I was his coach, that's how I'd be telling him to fight too, and he pushed to the limit a few times, but he did enough not to get in too big a trouble, and I think he did a good job.
So, what did Joe do wrong?
To be honest, and I know Joe will probably be kicking himself about it now. I think he realizes he just started a bit late, and that I think that just comes into a little bit of experience. So just fighting a tough guy at that level is different to the guys he has fought in a lot of his build ups, and I think he realized at the end of what he realized, man, I should have started that 2 or 3 rounds earlier, and I would have got him out of there. I think he just there were moments in the fight, and the commentators were talking about him looking disinterested and just not really there to have a go. And when he did really finally have a go right at the end when he let his hands go and sort of just backed himself, he had some real success. And I think after that experience, now he'll know, hey man, I've got the goods to push it earlier and back myself to stick with it. So I think from that fight he'll have got some great experience that he'll benefit from. It was just a little too late.
Do you think he was? Did he look a bit disinterested to you? Like, or was that just as a result of that headbutt or something? Like, did you see the
Possibly.
fire in his belly?
I'm not sure. Like just in my experience, which is nowhere near Joe's, in my experience, it just didn't look like he backed himself. He didn't look like he backed himself to like he didn't want to blow himself out and then get left really tired while he's got this big strong guy coming at him. So I think he just didn't have that question really answered in his mind. Hey, can I push it hard and still have some left in the tank to go hard again? And now he knows, hey, I do. I should have started my push earlier, and he knows it now. And it was a costly lesson, but I think he'll be a lot better fighter from it.
Why do you think he went 12 rounds with one of the toughest guys, the champion of the world, Anthony Joshua? Why did he
Yeah,
struggle with someone with like Dillian Whyte? Like how was he dropped twice against Dillian? Like, how do you explain that? Did he just fight a different fighting style?
yeah, I think this is a really different fight. I think Dillian came out with a different mental attitude that Anthony Joshua came out with, Anthony Joshua was, a bit more tentative, where Dillian Whyte was sort of forced action heat, and and just the way the fight was panning out, it was more the way Dillian fought was just he was there to really do damage. Where I think Joshua was a bit more content with doing it smart and not taking risks and not getting caught himself. Where Dillian was there to fight, and Joshua was there to box. This guy was there to fight, and he can fight. So I think that changed the whole dynamic of the fight.
This was the first time we saw, Parker's known for having that granite chin.
Yeah.
And it's the first time, we've ever seen him go down in the amateurs or in the pros. What was that like, just seeing him get knocked down for you?
It was scary, hey, Joe's my friend, but I thought that he was at real risk of getting caught in the mid rounds, and when he did take his foot off the gas a bit, and when it happened, I thought, oh no, this is the beginning of the end, and he showed his heart and he showed his chin, and he showed he's definitely got a warrior spirit, because he got up and came back and had a really good end of the fight. So he really impressed me there. He answered some questions that none of us knew. None of us knew what would happen if he got really stung, and he passed the test with flying colours.
He doesn't seem to complain much to the ref, right? Like, the second round knockdown was, in my opinion, not legitimate.
Yeah.
And also, even when Dillian was sort of going really rough, holding him against the ropes, he never complained to the ref. Is that just that's just the mentality he has? Like,
Yeah, well, I
were
guess,
you impressed
I
by that,
guess
or
that's,
did he have sort
he
of?
knows it's not his job. He's just a true fighter. He's there to do his job, which is fight. He's not a complainer. He just does his job. His job is to fight, and that's what he does. I think it's cool, man. I think it's real cool.
Because in a way, I hope he did sort of contest to the ref. Like during the second round, he sort of got up, but he should have, or maybe he was sort of dazed. He didn't
Possibly.
really,
So
yeah.
much going through your head, especially if you've been stung. There's so much going through your head. You're not that coherent. You're not really thinking about how the ref's seeing things and all this. You're kind of just trying to survive it. So it's a hard one. I don't know how he felt in that moment.
And what did you think from the 10 round onwards? Like it looked like Dillian was just completely exhausted. Did you think that, wow, I think we're going to see an upset? Like, did you think maybe Joe was going to end him?
I didn't really think that until I saw Joe land that right hand that hurt him. I thought, well, still, he didn't look like he was going to proper go to me. But like, man, when he caught with that right hand, and it was just like beautiful shot, just straight down the pipe, and then saw that it was bars, man. Everybody that I was watching was just electric. It was like the whole room exploded. It was so cool. But if it had been the round before, could have been a different story. But hey, man, there's boxing.
It's now his second loss, and there's people out there thinking that something needs to change. What do you think?
Yeah, I've heard people say things as well. Like, I don't know. Like, I think he's done a good job with them so far. I think I think he learned more in this fight about himself than he's learned from probably 10 fights before that. Like, I think his confidence coming off that loss will be so. His confidence in his own ability will be so high. So, like, as long as the next fight's not another tough one, he's done two of the best fighters in the world back to back. He needs a tune up. He needs it. A lot of people would have thought that he should have had a tune up for that fight. And I just think I think his current team's fine if he's got the right build up and the right fights and like there's a lot of good things. I don't think there's any reason to think, hey, the team needs to change. It's just a small thing that happened in that fight that if he done differently, might have won. So it's a hard one. It's a hard one. Everyone's going to have different opinions, but I think his camp's good. I think he just needs the right fights to build him.
So now, so you said you didn't want to see him like so you don't think he should maybe take a fight with like a Jared Miller, um,
I
a
think
big
he
name like that?
needs a real danger guy, man. I think he needs a confidence booster. He said two beat-to-beat losses. Beat-to-beat losses in pro career is not really bad. It's not really good for you for your career. And I think he needs a confidence boost, and I think he needs to put someone away and build the hype up again. Make people remember why that he was the champ of the world, why he was the guy, and put people on notice that he's back and he'll do damage. Chucking him in too deep is really not good for his own confidence and his own marketability.
What about a Lucas Brown?
Coming off a loss, yeah, maybe before that last fight, before fighting Dillian Whyte, I probably wouldn't have thought it would be a good comeback fight from a loss, but him coming off from his own loss to Dillian Whyte and he lost worse than Joe did. There might be a good fight, and he's still marketable. He's still a sellable fight on this half of the world. So yeah, they could definitely be a good option.
So with the second loss now to Dillian, so probably his ranking he's going to come down further. But another Kiwi that's moved up the ranking is Junior Fa. He's number 12 in the WBA.
Yep.
Do you think maybe the public is ready to see maybe Joseph go against Junior Fa, or is that just not in the works at the moment?
I still think Junior would be far too inexperienced, but even just from like from a business point of view, that fight would be way too soon to make. Um, that boxing's a business, and like they would want to hype that fight a lot more. It's like the Tua and Cameron fight. That one took so long to build up, and then it was set for one time, and then it was pull out, and then it got put off, put right back for like months, and it had such a big hype, and then it ended up being the biggest grossing pay per view in New Zealand history. And so it's not the sort of fight that you would just make as a comeback fight. That's the sort of fight that they want to build up over a long time and make it a massive event. Make it a huge event. So there would not be. I don't think it'd be a good fight to make commercially or even stylistically right now. They're both at different experience levels, and I reckon it's a really great fight for down the track.
What about a rematch with Dillian Whyte? Like immediately?
Yeah,
No?
I think that would be great. As a fan, I would love to watch it, but for his career, that would have it's a high risk fight, and losing again, losing the third straight fight, and losing a rematch is there might be curtains for big opportunities for him in the future. So it'd have to be worth it. It'd have to be worth it.
So would you think a Derek Chisora is out of the question as well? Because Derek just came out with an
He
impressive
surprised
win
me.
against
He
Patrick.
looked pretty awesome in his fight.
He did, didn't he?
So I thought before both their fights that night, I would have thought Joe could jump on him and spank him, but no, I don't know right now. After Joe coming off a loss and the way Chisora looked in that fight, that'd be a tough fight. So yeah, I would not think that there would be a comeback fight either.
What about a Dave
But
Allen?
another fight I want to see down the track for sure.
A Dave Allen? Have you heard of him?
No, I haven't. I want to see the fight.
Okay, so he fought on that undercard, and he had sort of that. He was on the undercard as well. He's another British heavyweight that he's fought Dillian Whyte as
Right,
well.
no, he went good,
So,
eh? He
yeah,
went good in the undercard, eh?
yeah.
Yeah, no,
He fought Nick Webb.
I'm just trying to think of the fight, but I remember thinking that the guy looked like a manageable guy for Joe. I remember thinking, oh, yeah, Joe should beat this dude. So I'd have to watch it again. I'm not sure, but yeah, like definitely, like because it sounds like they're trying to stick over that side of the world and stick with that European market. So those would be good options. Fighting someone on the undercard makes sense. People would
But
know people on them both.
do you think it happens like maybe because there's been questions about Joe's hunger. Like now Joe has made enough money to sort of call it quits. Do you think maybe there's a correlation between his hunger and the wealth he's accumulated? Like, do you think maybe he's done with it?
Man, I'm not sure. Like, if that was true, he wouldn't have had a good end of the fight. Like if that was really true, he would and because things weren't going his way in the middle rounds, I think if he was going to mentally quit, he would have quit then. But he came back, and so there's definitely desire there. So no, I don't think there's questions above that. Like, hey, I don't know how much money he's made, but if he's made good money, great. But I think there's still a hunger there, because like I say, like like to come back from, like he was getting handled a few moments there, to come back, knock him down, and after getting knocked down himself, I thought they showed real balls. So I don't think there's any question above about his heart. I think it's more experience. I honestly think it's more experience than just backing himself, which I think he'll back himself more now.
Maybe the commentator, because see, Joe's always calm in the ring, so maybe when they see a calm fighter, they think maybe he's disinterested, because he has a yeah.
Yeah, like I know what they're talking about when they're talking about the middle rounds when it's not like kind of having a go. I honestly don't see that anything other than just not backing himself to be still fit enough or still fresh enough to do damage. But now he knows, like he went into those late rounds tired, and he's was still able to put his foot on the gas when he had to, and pull things out at the right time. So I think he'll just get such confidence in knowing that he's got that ability to do that. He can flip that switch when he needs to. He can go to that fifth gear when he needs to, and I think this gonna be real beneficial for him.
Probably one of the best fights I've ever seen him in. The one of the most entertaining fights I've ever seen.
For sure, man. It was a cool fight. It was, like it was. He matched the occasion, and it was. I think it was a great fight. It's a great fight for people that don't follow either of these dudes. Anybody watching that fight would have thought it would have been cool.
Yeah, and I mean, if Joe just had a little bit more left in the gas tank, I mean, if that victory would have been, a fight like with massive, just being out of this world to see Joe KO him at the end.
Would open so many doors. But in saying that, I think the performance he put in, it hasn't closed every door. I think he'll still have a few options. It's just about his management making the right decisions to steer him in the right direction from here.
All right, Sam, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts. Just in case Joe is listening, what advice would you give him?
Joe, man, everyone admires you, and I know whatever you're going to do is going to be right for you and right for your career. And we just back you 100% whatever you do. So, man, props, bro.
Fantastic. Sam, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and your insight. Thank you very much, and have a good night.
No worries. Good talking to you, bro. See ya.
Thank you.